So welcome to this basic tutorial for HTML. In this video, I'm going to guide you how to work with HTML and how to create web pages. This video will be perfect video for everybody, even for the people who never heard about HTML. So without any delay, let's go to the tutorial. So to start learning HTML, you gonna need two things. One will be where you're gonna write your HTML code, which can be a notepad editor or any code editor. For example, notepad editor is your default application on your Mac or on your computer. A notepad where you can write the code, or it can be Visual Code Studio or Notepad++, which are specialized code editors. For this video, we're gonna keep it really easy because though these page editor helps, but sometimes they can be overwhelming for beginners. So we're gonna continue this tutorial using Notepad. This is the default notepad in your computer. Second thing we're gonna need to learn HTML will be a web browser. You can use any web browser available on your computer. You can use Edge, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or any other browser of your choice. So I'll open Notepad on my computer because I found this is a really easy way for beginners to learn HTML code, because when you use Visual Code Editor, they're really fine, they works really nice, but what happens, they're much better when you're learning something by yourself. But when you're learning through a YouTube video, I think Notepad is the best because it's very clean and easy to read. The second thing we're going to need is a web browser. So I'm going to open Mozilla Firefox. You can use any web browser you want. So I open here Mozilla Firefox on the right side. Feel free to choose any browser of your choice. Just to give you a basic idea what is HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you can see this is a complete page which is created using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. If this page contains only HTML, this page will look something like this. You can see this is the basic page which defines the structure, text, and images for the web page. But when we use CSS, it is used to design the page, apply some styles, and whenever these styles are applied, we can achieve the page something like this. You can see it is very well designed. Everything looks proportionate. You can define the width of the elements, buttons, and a lot of different things. So CSS is used to apply styles on the HTML element, and JavaScript is to provide some functionality or interactivity on the page. For example, in this example, if I write here how to create a website, you can see this whole box opens up. It is created by using JavaScript. HTML is like a skeleton which contains no style, no colors. It's just plain, text elements, images, button elements, and has no style. Looks very weird. And then when you apply style, it is CSS. And CSS we used to apply the style, and JavaScript which create interactivity on the web page. Okay, I'm going to close this. Okay, let's start with the basic of HTML. The first thing of HTML would be you need to declare a document type. So you can write something like this and you say doc type HTML. So what happens when this document will be open in this web browser will understand this is a HTML document. Even if you will not add this, your HTML code can work. But just to keep you on right track, I would like to suggest you that everybody should add doc type HTML. The second thing we need to write HTML code is we need to add this tag. It's called HTML start, and every time in HTML you start a tag, you end the tag with the same ending tag. And what is a tag? So these things are called tags. You can see like we start HTML tag like this and then we end HTML tag like this. So these are tags. So the starting one is called opening tag and the end one is called ending tag. And all the HTML code you will write in between these two tags. And now the code we want to write inside HTML is divided into two simple parts. First is head element. Again, how to create element with opening tag which is head, and then we're gonna close this head element with head tag like this. And in this head tag, all the information which we don't want to display on the page here, we write the information here. There can be a lot of different things. Just to give example, on google.com, you can see it's written Google here. So this is called title of the page, and when you hover it, you can see the Google shows up. So to write this title, it goes in the head of the HTML code. For example, we can write very simple using title element, and to create title element, we will write title, open, and then we'll say this is the simple HTML tutorial, and then we're gonna close the title tag. Very easy. Just one important thing, right now we have not saved this page. So let's do one thing, let's try to save this page and I'll show you the response on the browser in real time. So what we'll do, we'll click on file and save as. And then I'll try to save it on desktop. I'll name it index.html. And then page is saved. You can see it's index.html. And if I minimize the screen, you can see the page is saved here, index.html. Now you can directly double click on this page and it will open in your web browser. Or what you can do, if you already have a web browser, you can just drag this page and drop it to your web browser. And then you can see the page is open here. Let me resize this browser again very quickly. Okay, so you can see we have this title. This is simple HTML tutorial, but we don't have anything here. In HTML, to write anything which should be displayed here, we write everything inside body element. And to create body element, we use body tags. So after head, we're gonna write body tag start, and then we're gonna write body tag end. I hope everything is very simple until now. We haven't done a lot of things, and I try to make this tutorial really easy for beginners only. And let me tell you one important thing, because if we keep writing a lot of code like this, at one point it's gonna be so complicated. So just to make things easy, what we do, we use indentation. What is indentation? Indentation is just to organize the code a little bit better. In Notepad, it is a little bit difficult, but just to show you guys, I want to use this Notepad because it's really easy. So for example, what we do, doc type is the top element and it is defined only on the top of the page. But rest, what we'll do, for example, HTML start and HTML end, these two elements are the parent elements and everything else is written inside these elements. So what we'll do, everything else, we're gonna move on the right side like this, like this. So you can see it's really easy to see that these two are parents elements and everything else is inside. And then you can see there is one element which start and ends here, which is head element, and title is inside these two elements. So what we will do, we will also indent this title tag. So we'll move it like this. Head and body we're going to keep on the same indentation from left of the page because they're separate element inside the HTML elements. Or you can see the starting tag and ending tag, they stay on the same indentation on the page. Now inside body tag, we can add multiple elements. So first thing we're going to learn in HTML, which is very important, is called headings. To create heading element, we're going to write h1 start and we'll say this is a heading. And then like always, we're going to close the heading tag with the h1. So this is a heading element using heading tag. So what you're going to do, you're going to click on save here, or what you can do, you can use Ctrl+S on your computer, which will automatically save this page. And now what we can do, we can just refresh, and here you can see this is a heading. In this tutorial, I'm also going to keep giving you very important information about SEO. Don't worry too much about SEO. I'll keep it very simple, but it is real nice if you can write a nice code which is also SEO optimized. Don't worry too much about SEO. I'll try to explain you in a very simple way. Okay, so this is a heading tag, and we have from h1 to s6. So these all are different heading tags. If I just save the page using Ctrl+S and then I refresh the browser, you can see the first heading is bigger, second heading is smaller, third is even smaller, and sixth is even smaller. It is not only about size. By using CSS, you can change the size of these headings, whichever you want. You can make the h6 the biggest heading than h1, but there is another reason behind this thing. So it is also important for search engines. When search engine comes on a page, the headings with h1 tag, they are the most important headings on the page. h2 headings, they are subheadings. So the importance of the headings, they decrease from h1 to s6. So whenever a search engine comes to your web page, they understand, okay, whatever is written under the h1 tags, it is the most important topic of the page. And h2, they are sub-important topic. Of course, this is also important, the other things. But yes, for example, you can say 5 tips to get healthy. And whenever you write this thing, whenever a web browser comes here, web browser will understand, okay, this is written under the h1 tag. So this is the most important heading on this page. And then after h2, h3, you can use to add the subheading or the subtopics on the page. Okay, so let me remove all these headings because otherwise it's going to be really messy on the page. Let's keep things easy. So let me remove this, and now let's go to paragraph element in HTML. So paragraph element we can create using paragraph tags, which is also defined like this. P tag start, and we can say this is a paragraph. And then like always, we're gonna end the P tag here. And then we save the page, and then we can refresh. You can see We have first heading and then some paragraph. It's like writing a blog post, you know. You have the heading here, 5 tips to get healthy, and then you can write some introduction about it. Getting healthy is very important to live a longer life. You can write some text related to the 5 tips to get healthy. Let's write a realistic tag so this page looks fine. Getting healthy is very important. Okay, now let's move to the next important tag, and which is one of the very important tags in HTML, which is called a link tag. How we can create links. So links, normally you can see heading they start with H, paragraphs start with P, but links they start with A tag, which is also called anchor tag. So links, we call it links in simple language, but in language of HTML you call it anchor tag, because these pages are anchored to somewhere. So to write link or create anchor tag, you just write A, and then like always we're gonna close this link like other HTML elements. So now in link tag we need to add some more information. For example, I want to add a link which goes to Google. I will just write here, go to Google, and if I save this page and I refresh this, you can see there is a text here but there is no link. To add the link properly, you need to add the URL or address to the page where you want this link to go. We can add that using href attribute. You write href equals and then single quotes or double quotes, and then you write https://google.com, and then if I save it, you can see this is my website, and here everywhere you can see read more. This is a link tag. Again, read more is an anchor tag, or the menu items on any website are created using anchor tags, or you can say link tag. And this is really important tag if you're learning HTML. We can see the website of amazon.com. You can see all these are link tag here in the menu. Now we understood link tag, let's try to understand other important tag, which is called image tag. And guys, have you noticed this thing? I'm indenting all these elements on the same level, because all these three they're inside body tag and then they are on the same level. I will add something inside a p tag. For example, if I want to add a link inside p tag, so what I will do, just move this p tag like this, and then I will take this anchor tag and then I will add this tag like this. You can see now I gave its indentation a little bit to the right because it is inside the p tag. For example, if I save this, and then you can see now this is a complete paragraph, and inside this paragraph we have this link tag. That's why I indented this like this. Let's move it back to make things simple. And if you're still watching this video, I'll really appreciate if you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with somebody who wants to learn HTML. And because when you share the video, this video can be reached to many more people, and a lot of people can get benefit from this video. Now let's talk about the next important HTML element, which is called image element. So we start image element using image tag. We start like this, and then image start, and then we end the image. Actually no guys, in case of image tag we don't do that, because like I explained you can add a tag inside other tag, but inside image you cannot add anything. Image is completely itself information. So in case of image we don't write it like this, we just use image start like this, and then inside we give the address or URL of the image we want to appear on the page. For example, so we give the source, which we can also say src, and then equals, and like single quotes and single quote or double quotes like link tag, we add the URL of the image here. Let's again take image from our favorite example, the Google search page. So what you can do, I'm going to right click here and copy image link and then paste it here. Now like always, save from here or use Ctrl S on your computer. We'll go back here. Now if I refresh the page, you can see our image is added here. Looks real nice, and image tag is really important tag guys. Okay, now let's talk very important thing, which is called attributes. So attribute provide additional information about the elements, and they're always included in the opening tag and come in name value pairs, like name and some value. For example, we saw here src is the attribute and the name is src and the value is the URL. href is the attribute and the value is this URL, the link where we want this anchor tag to go. There is very important attribute which is called target attribute for link tag. So it is written like this, target equals, and then you give value between single quotes and you write underscore blank. Okay, what it does, let me show you. It's very interesting guys. So what happened, remember if we click on Google, we are going to Google directly, but if we go back, and now if I save the page, because we have added this target attribute here, so now if I save the page, now if I refresh, and now if I click on this go to Google, You can see our page is here and this new link is open in a new tab. If I click here, you can see the link is open in a new tab. So when you add target blank, it opens the page in a new tag. Let me give one more example. In case of image, we can add an attribute called alt attribute, and which is also mean alternate text. So we write name alt and then equal single quotes. Then I will write this is a logo for Google. And guys, this is really important to use alt tag for your images because it really helps search engine to understand what is this image about. This gives more information about the image, and sometimes what happens if the browser is not able to load this image, it will show this text which say this is a logo for Google. For example, if I mistype the URL here and then I save the page, and if I refresh the page, you can see it is written here, this is a logo for Google. And sometimes also, for example, if a blind person or person who cannot see the page at the moment, and there's some software which can read this information to those people. So it is really important to use alt text in terms of SEO and also in terms of accessibility of your web page. Let's talk about two more important attributes, which are width and height. Let me create the image URL, save and then refresh it. So we have the image here. Okay. Let me tell you two more important attributes, which is width and height attributes. So we can use width and height attribute to define the width and height of this image. For example, I can say width equals to single quotes and then 100 pixels, and I can say height equal to single quotes 100 pixels, and then I'll save the page. Now if I refresh the page, a height and width should be applied to this logo. If I refresh the page, you can see our logo is smaller. The width and height, they're both 100 pixel. But guys, you can see it doesn't look real nice. The image is like shrinked, and a lot of beginners do this mistake. So what you need to do is do not define both the things, just define one thing. For example, I'll just remove the height attribute and then I save the page. Now if I refresh, you can see image looks better. Or what I can do, I can remove the width and I can keep the height. Then I save the page. If I refresh, you can see now the height is important and width is automatic. So if you define any of this, the other part will be automatic and image will look much better. So let's keep the width of this image, which looks much better on the page. So for now, let's keep the height, which looks much better on the page. You can see image showing before the link tag, but here we have written link tag first and then image. This is something we take care from the CSS properties. But also what you can do, there's another element in HTML, is called break element. So what you can do, you can give a break element between two tags, which is written like BR, then you end this tag directly here, because break element is a single element. You cannot write anything inside it. When you save it, and now if I refresh the page, you can see now they're showing up in the order we have added them on the web page. How it is going, guys? I hope you are understanding the tutorial. If it is becoming really fast, you can slow down the speed of the tutorial, or if it is really slow, you can increase the speed of the tutorial from the YouTube settings. And if you have any questions or any queries about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you can always comment on this video. I reply to all the comments on my channel. Now let's talk about text formatting. So HTML provides several texts for text formatting, allow you to emphasize and style text. Let me give you two examples. For example, if I want to add two simple texts, I can write something like this: B tag to make the text bold and I tag to define an italic text. So for example, if I save this and if I refresh the page here, you can see the first text is bold and second text is italic. And of course, we can use them inside the paragraph text. I'll copy this here and then I can use like this. Then I can add this text inside here. Now if I refresh, you can see inside this paragraph we are using all this text here. So this is one paragraph which is getting healthy, is very important text here, and then we have a bold text. This is bold, which is this one. Then we have this text italic, which is written here. Guys, nowadays this work is done using CSS, but yes, just to make you understand, this also exists in HTML. And like line break, we also have HR, which is called horizontal rule. If you want to insert a horizontal rule, what you can do, you can just add this HR and a horizontal rule will be added. For example, let me show you here. And like to write like a nice code, we will indent it like this. And then if I refresh, you can see this horizontal rule added here. This is not very much used. I don't like to use this a lot because normally we work with border and other kind of stuffs using CSS. But yes, this also exists and it is good to know and learn about this important HTML element. Let me do one thing. Let's copy this code and add to the next page. We can take it if we need it But for now, let's clean the page. So I'm going to remove all this image tag and anchor tag here. I just keep the first heading here. Save the page and then refresh. We have the code here. When we want, we can take the code from here, what we already learned. So now we'll talk about the list items. You see when you go to a blog post or an article, there's some list items there. How you can add the list items? You can add them using list element in HTML. So there are two kinds of list element. First is called unordered list, which you write from UL. So UL start and UL end. Unordered list start, unordered list end. And inside this you can write the element. You can write list item li, and then you can say item 1, and then you close this list item. You can use as many list items as you want. I just changed them. List item 2, list item 3, list item 4. Now if I save the page, I refresh it, you can say 5 tips to get healthy, and then 4 list items. These 4 things you can do to get healthy. And these are unordered. Instead of UL, I say OL, which is ordered list item element in HTML. Now save it page. If I refresh it, you can see we have these numbers here. Let me copy this and paste it here. Then instead of UL, I write OL. And same thing I'll do here, OL and save the page. If I refresh, you can see first we have unordered list item and then ordered list item. I hope you are getting everything. Some people might have problem understanding this. Actually, it is really easy. And once you start learning with HTML, you will learn all these things. Let's go to the next important element, which is called table element. For now, just remove this element, or we can copy it and add to this page, and then we'll go back here. And now let's talk about another important point, which is called table. So table is defined using table tags, table start, and then table end. And inside table, we can have row and columns. Table rows are defined by tr, makes sense, table row. And the same way you can start and end tr. And then inside, if you want to add multiple columns, you can define them using table columns. No, in HTML they are called table data cells. So inside a row, we can define multiple table data cells, and they start with td, and then td end. Just to make it clear, we will indent the code something like this. So we are inside table. The first parent is tr, table row. So we'll keep the table start row at the same level, and then we'll move the table data cell little bit on the right. And now I can write name, and then I can create another table data cell which will say age, and then td. And then if I save, if I refresh the page, you can see this is a table. So basically we use table to organize data in row and columns, which is also very useful element. Let's move this table. I think I did some mistake. I think there's some problem. I need to move this and then add in the end of the row like this, because these two table start, table end are the parent elements, and table row are children of table, and table data cell are children of table row. This is how you properly add a table. So let's cut this and add to this document where we are saving all the things we learned. Let me refresh this to make page clear. Now let's learn about forms. Forms are used to collect user input. They can contain elements like text field, checkboxes, review buttons, and submit buttons. Remember, when you go to the contact page of your website, you have this form there, and you enter information, that data is submitted to the website. So form element are created using form tag. Form start, and then like always form end. And then if I save this, I refresh the page, nothing will show, because we defined the form is going to start from here, but we have not added any element inside the form. So what we can do, we can add a text field. And how you add a text field? User is going to input something, so this is called an input field. So we can define input field using input tag. Input, then use the attribute, that which kind of input field it is. So we can define this attribute using type equals to single quotes and then text. And also input field, we do not have the ending tags because we cannot add something between the input field. This is like single input from user. So we can save this, and for example, if I refresh the page, you can see this input field ID is here. Let's do one thing, let's change this text to fill the contact form below. Like text box, we can also add a input type for emails. Input type text, and in the type instead of text, we can write email. And now if I refresh the page, you can see we have two elements. First to write text and second to write email. And then we need a submit button. So submit button, again, it is the input from the user, so we can use input type. And let me know guys what we should add here between the single quotes. It is submit button. So in HTML forms we can use submit, and then we can close it. And now if we save and refresh the page, you can see submit query. So this is our basic form. And here CSS is very important because you can see everything is not very well organized. So by using CSS we can make this form looks more beautiful. But yes, the skeleton is created using HTML. CSS only beautifies it. So it is really important for you guys to understand how the form is added in HTML. Let me tell you some more important information. In form field there's some important things. One thing is called action. So action means where this form should submit information. So you can write, so normally you can write a URL here which is collecting the information from the user. For example, there is another page which is called submit.html, but that's the topic for the day, that how all this works. I just want to give information how it works. So you can write action where the page should go. And the other thing is method. Method is equal to, and here you can add two things. One is get and other thing is post. So what is the difference between get and post? So get is a thing, for example, you see if I go on Google, I check anything here. You can see this thing here, Q is equal to, and all the data is written here. So when the form is submitted using get, you can see all the data. But if I use post method, then all the information which is submitted will not be shown in this address bar. So this is the main difference between guest and post method. If I use guest, all the data I will enter here, it will be shown in the address bar here. But if I use post, it will not be shown in the address bar here. In submit button, if you want to change the text, you can also use value and you can say send. And if I save and refresh, you can see it is changed to send. You can change the text here. This is really good for a beginner to understand how form works. We can add some more things to forms, but I think this is fair enough for the moment for a beginner who has not too much idea about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This is real nice if you can understand this stuff. And I want to keep this tutorial easy step by step. Let me know if you understand what are the forms and how they works. If you don't understand, please rewatch this thing because I tried the most easy way to explain you guys how forms work and how input element works. Let's talk one last thing, which is checkbox and radio boxes. So you see when you go to the website, you have checkboxes. So checkboxes you can add using input type, and guess what we should write here? We can write checkbox and then end this. So if I save the page now, if I refresh here, you can see there is a checkbox here. And for the radio, we'll do the same thing. We can write input type and we can write here instead of checkbox, radio. If I move it to right, save the page. If I refresh, you can see radio. Let's do one thing. Let's add our favorite break element to create the line breaks. So what we can do, we can just add the break element like this, br, after every element. So all these elements are separated and we can see it better like this. We save, refresh, you can see they are all in the line. So for example, checkbox, we can say accept to terms and refresh. You can see accept to terms. Somebody can check and accept to terms and conditions. So I think this is enough for the forms right now. How it is going, guys? I think everything is really easy. We understand about, let me rephrase everything. We learned about h1 tag, heading text, then element text, and then link text, and then image text, unordered list, ordered list, then table elements, and we just learned about forms. Okay, let me tell you some very important and interesting thing which is called semantic HTML, because everything, all this is fine, but there is another way to write HTML which is called semantic HTML. And don't worry too much, it's not much changing stuff, it is just, like different way to look at things. Let me remove this thing from here. Okay, so as you know what we did until now, we use head tag to write the information which we don't want to display on the page, and then everything else we have written inside the body tag. But in semantic HTML, what we do, instead of this, what we write, we use something like this, header, start, and then we use header, end. And then to add a navigation bar like menu links, in normal HTML we can write just here inside the body tag, but in semantic HTML what we can do, we can add another element which is called nav, or you can say navigation start and navigation end. And we can use anchor tag, and you can give href is equal to link 1, and then you can 1 close anchor tag, and you can add multiple menu items inside the nav tag. And then you have the main tag, where all the main data goes. You can start this tag and then end this tag, and inside main tag you can write in sections. For example, this is the first section of the page, so you can write section start and then section end. And inside this section you can write, for example, a heading, some text about this section. For example, let's add, for example, you added this heading tag and so on. And in the end you can write a footer tag. To create a footer, you can write a footer tag, and then here you can write footer. And of course, depending what you want to add in footer, for example, if you want to add the site links, you can add the site links here like this. So this is called semantic HTML. If I just save the page, if I show you, you can see another way to write HTML here. So this is called semantic HTML when we clearly describe the meaning in a way that both browser and developer can understand. So browser understand, this is a navigation item here, there is a main here, then a section here, and then we have HTML tags inside. Then main is finished, and there we have the footer of the website. And what we learned until now is, you can see we just write head tag, everything which you don't want to show in the browser, it goes to head tag, and rest everything goes into the body. So this is another way to write HTML. It's called semantic HTML. You don't need to worry about too much about semantic HTML. Just I wanted to give information because this is a beginner video, and I'm sure if you have come until this far, you are enjoying this tutorial, and you should be learning about at least what is semantic HTML. Because if you go somewhere and somebody tell you, do you know about semantic HTML? You should know about it. You should have some idea about it. But we're not going to talk too much about semantic HTML. That's for some other day. Okay. Let me introduce to a very important thing. This is called div element. So guys, div element is a block level container used to group element for styling or layout purpose. So what we use div element is, we can just write div start and then div close. We use it more to organize stuff, because when you use CSS, we want to apply the similar rule for multiple elements. So there we can use something like div. For example, if we added this div, inside is this div, I want to add one heading and one paragraph. For example, this is a heading and this paragraph here. Let me refresh the page. So you can see here, this is here. Then what I can do, I can add this class attribute here. Class is equal to container. So we use class and IDs to target multiple elements on a page when we are using CSS. For example, we added the class container. And what we can do inside the head tag, because in head tag we write the information which we don't want to display on the page, we can write some CSS. For example, we can write a style tag here, style tag start, then style ends. Now we can write some design or style rules about this class container. For example, we can write here, we can always target a class using dot container, and then we use curly braces start, curly braces end. And for example, if I want to say background color red and then semicolon, if I save this page and if I refresh it, you can see the whole background is red, because the whole background of this div is red. You can see this is red. This is the use of the classes. I give a little bit example of CSS because explaining classes and divs without CSS is almost very difficult. I hope you understand why we are using div. Let me give one more example. Let's do one thing, let's copy this div, and once more we can paste this div. And now we can see, if I save the page, if I refresh, both div have red background. But what if I want to make something in this div different from this div? So here what we can do, we can use ID. For example, I give this div ID equal next div. So what we can do, I can copy this ID and then we can target it inside the style. To target ID in CSS, we write hash and then ID, and then curly brace start end, and I can say color white, then semicolon. And I save the page. If I refresh, you can see inside this div everything is white. But you can see in both divs we have the same background. In very simple language, we use class, which is represented by dot. We use to make things similar into different HTML elements, but we use ID to differentiate things. One more important thing, guys, every element should have a unique ID. Two separate elements on the page cannot have the same ID. I hope you understand the concept of div, classes and IDs. If you don't understand very much, don't worry about it. It's totally normal. Once you start creating your own projects, I'll add some link in description of this video how you can create some simple projects on HTML, CSS. So once you start doing that, all these things will become very easy. Or also you can check link in description. I'll add links to some nice articles and some nice tutorials on YouTube where you can learn much more things in detail about HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So for now, like always, let's take this stuff, cut it from here and then add it to our backup document here. Let's do one more thing. Let's take this style also and make this page clear. Cut it from here. Then we can add it here. Again inside the head section. So everything which is written inside the head section, this too will not be displayed here. Let's go back here, save the page, refresh, and our page is blank as new. What about multimedia elements? So there are two multimedia elements in HTML. So one is audio tag, which you can define like this: audio tag start, audio tag end, and then in source you can give the URL of the audio, and the type you can write what is the type of the audio. If it's audio MPG, you can write audio MPG. And then you can display warning. For example, if some old browser does not support this tag, so this warning will be shown instead of the error. Same like audio tag, we can have video tags. We can define video elements in HTML using video tags. Same video, you can give the width and height of the videos, and then source of the video, and then video type, and then same warning, your browser does not support the video tag. For example, I save this page, and then if I refresh, you can see we have this warning here, but at least you can see this is audio player and the video player here. Because these URLs are not real URLs, that's why we are having this warning. But we can attach a real audio and video here, and then they will play on the browser. So this was all the basic you need to learn for HTML. Rest you need to practice your own project now. I hope this video is beneficial for you. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please share the video with somebody who wants to learn HTML. And if you want to watch a detailed video about CSS, check this video on screen. And if you want to learn in detail about JavaScript, check this other video on screen.